Today, we become legends.
So along with all the crazy item changes, which I have a video covering those already, check my channel for that, we have some very spicy god changes to shake up the meta even more in year 10 Smite. So without further ado, let's jump in. Ishtar is getting some well-deserved nerfs. The damage early game on her AoE strike has been taken down a peg, which should help alleviate a bit of her insane early game pressure. And her ultimate also now deals a bit less damage in the form of reduction on subsequent swords being higher. Lance is seeing some justified nerfs as well. His 1 is getting a scaling decrease of 10% total, while Grand Joust has its base damage taken down by 30 at all ranks. After the damage on the wall was added and Thor became absolutely insane, Thor's ult is now taking a nerf with decreased power scaling on each arc. Vulcan getting some nerfs to backfire after the cripple buff earlier this season, decreased power scaling and increased cooldown. Definitely justified. This ability had a way too low cooldown as it is, to be honest. It was verging on Hebo 1 territory. Achilles buffs for some reason. At least it's buffing his solo and not his jungle really, I guess, but buffing Achilles is very scary. 15% extra lane minion damage on his 1 and increased cooldown on his 2 should definitely help him out in solo and a little bit in jungle as well. Artemis getting some nice buffs. She can now have 4 traps active at once, which combined with the narrower jungle corridors of the new map could make for some very interesting setups, and some extra damage on her 3 as well to help her clear and poke. Bacchus now heals on using his chug and has a lower cooldown on belly flop to 14 seconds at all ranks instead of scaling down. Bakasura buffs? Why? I know he's not been performing well lately, but if he's back on top of the meta with the new jungle in 10.1, I will not be happy. Fenrir gets a nice attack speed buff added to his Seething Howl. This was already one of the best steroids in the game, now it's even crazier. If this was on a hunter, people would be flipping out, but Fenrir finds it a bit harder to use this to its full effectiveness. Attack speed Fen, anyone? He also gets more procs while channeling Brutalize now, which is pretty nice. Hachiman gets increased base and scaling on the damage of his 2 to help out his laning phase. Hell's Dark Stance 2 now applies both flat and % protection reduction instead of just flat, making it more useful in the late game. Hercules buffs, again, why? I love Herc as much as the next guy and I will be spamming him with Breastplate of Regrowth, but did he really need buffs? He gets more base damage on Driving Strike as well as a lower cooldown and attack speed on Mitigate Wounds. Weird choice, but hey, I'll take it. Hunbat's jump now deals a bit more damage and the slow starts stronger but remains the same late game. Since he levels this ability last, this is a pretty big change. Arthur buffs, I don't want to keep saying why, but why? More damage on his 1B and 2A, plus more protection reduction on his 3A. My boy Kuzenbo receiving some buffs. Nene Kappa now has an increased slow per rank rather than just being flat, and a lower cooldown. Kumbha gets probably the biggest buffs of the patch, with his passive going from a 3-minute cooldown to 2 minutes, a 50% decrease, while his 2 now also cripples as well as the root, making it a complete lockdown. I don't really know why they thought giving the CC machine more CC was a good idea, but hey, I guess they saw Aurora's performance at Worlds, am I right? Morgan Le Fay gets more power scaling on both her 3 and her ult. Nike buffs, yay, more base damage on her jump and a lower cooldown on her ultimate. Not too bad all things considered, but screw this character honestly. Olaron's crits now do 1.5 times damage instead of 1.3 times, pretty big deal here, especially when you consider Magical Kinsizer hitting the scene in year 10 as well. Serket gets more madness duration early game but the same late, and a decreased cooldown to ambush. Skadi buffs, as much as I'd like to complain, she probably does need some. Calder gets HP back faster now, while her ult also deals burst damage on cast but less over time. Makes sense for her bursty playstyle. The Croc gets more damage on his 3, as well as a much stronger slow and increased protections on his ult. That ult slow is no joke now, this thing will definitely connect if you don't have a jump or dash. Vamana's ult is getting some huge love in 10.1. Instead of healing, he now has 35% lifesteal, making damage more valuable on him, while also making Ankh less of a hard counter since it's not ability healing and it won't proc it. The shield was also doubled in strength. Prepare for Vamana meta, boys. And finally, another huge buff, Xbalanque's ult now gives him up to 60% attack speed while active, so not only is he a sniper, he's a machine gun sniper while this ult is up. Very nice buff. But that's all the god changes for the 10.1 patch. Biggest winners are definitely Kumbha, Vamana and Xbal, while Ishtar, Thor, Lance and a couple of others took some much needed nerfs. Let me know your thoughts down below and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out you nerds.